Thank you for joining us on another animal adventure. Today's episode is all about the elephant. From the mighty forests of Asia to the vast savannas of Africa, one animal stands out as a true marvel of nature, the elephant. But have you ever wondered how these majestic creatures came to be? In today's video, we're taking a journey through time, tracing the incredible evolution of elephants, from their ancient ancestors in the order Proboscidea to the awe-inspiring giants we know today. From the mysterious mammoths and mastodons that roamed the earth in prehistoric times to the iconic African and Asian elephants we see today, we'll explore their fascinating history, behavior, and the vital role they play in our world. Join me as we uncover the secrets of these extraordinary creatures and their survival against the odds. Elephants are the largest living land animals. 3 living species are currently recognized: the African bush elephant, the African forest elephant, and the Asian elephant. They are the only surviving members of the family Elephantidae and the order Proboscidea. Extinct relatives include mammoths and mastodons. Distinctive features of elephants include a long trunk, tusks, large ear flaps, pillar-like legs, and tough but sensitive gray skin. Elephants use their trunk to bring food and water to their mouth and for grasping objects. Tusks, which are derived from the incisor teeth, serve both as weapons and as tools for moving objects and digging. The large ear flaps, in addition to hearing, are used to help maintain a consistent body temperature. African elephants have larger ears and concave backs, whereas Asian elephants have smaller ears and convex backs. Elephants are scattered throughout sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia and Southeast Asia, and are found in different habitats, including savannas, forests, deserts, and marshes. They are herbivorous, and they stay near water when it is accessible. They are considered to be a keystone species due to their impact on their environments. Elephants have a society in which multiple family groups come together to socialize. Females tend to live in family groups, which can consist of one female with her calves or several related females with offspring. The leader of a female group, usually the oldest, is known as the matriarch. Males leave their family groups when they reach puberty. Some males live alone, while some males choose to live with other males. Adult male elephants mostly interact with family groups when looking for a mate. They enter a state of increased testosterone and aggression, known as musth, which helps them gain dominance over other males as well as reproductive success. Calves are the center of attention in the family groups and rely on their mothers, some for as long as 3 years. Elephants can live to be 70 years old in the wild. They communicate by touch, sight, smell, and sound. Elephants use infrasound and seismic communication over long distances. Elephant intelligence has been compared with that of monkeys and whales. They appear to be self-aware and show concern for dying and dead individuals of their kind. African bush elephants and Asian elephants are listed as endangered, and African forest elephants as critically endangered by the IUCN. One of the biggest threats to elephant populations is the ivory trade, as the animals are poached for their ivory tusks. Other threats to wild elephants include habitat destruction and conflicts with local people. Elephants are used as working animals in Asia. In the past, they were used in war. Today, they are often controversially put on display in zoos. Elephants have an iconic status in human culture and have been widely featured in art, folklore, religion, literature, and popular culture. Elephants belong to the family Elephantidae, the sole remaining family within the order Proboscidea. Their closest extant relatives are the sirenians, the order containing manatees. Elephants and sirenians are further grouped in the monophyletic group known as Tethetheria. Over 180 extinct members of the order Proboscidea have been described. A major event in Proboscidean evolution was the collision of Afro-Arabia with Eurasia. During the early Miocene, around 18 to 19 million years ago, this allowed Proboscideans to disperse from their African homeland across Eurasia and around 15 to 16 million years ago into North America across the Bering Land Bridge. Proboscidean groups prominent during the Miocene include the mastodons. Over the course of the early Pleistocene, all non-elephantid proboscidean genera outside of the Americas became extinct with the exception of Stegodon, and mammoths migrating into North America around 1.5 million years ago. Proboscideans underwent a dramatic decline during the late Pleistocene, with all remaining non-elephantid proboscideans, including Stegodon, mastodons, and the American Gomphotheres and Paleoloxodon, becoming extinct, and mammoths only survived in relict populations on islands around the Bering Strait into the Holocene, with their latest survival being on Wrangel Island, where they persisted until around 4,000 years ago. Over the course of their evolution, proboscideans grew in size. With that came longer limbs and wider feet with a more digitigrade stance, along with a larger head and shorter neck. The trunk evolved and grew longer to provide reach. The number of premolars, incisors, and canines decreased, and the molars and premolars became longer and more specialized. The incisors developed into tusks of different shapes and sizes. Several species of proboscideans became isolated on islands and experienced insular dwarfism, some dramatically reducing in body size, such as the 1 meter or 3 feet tall dwarf elephant species Paleoloxodon falconeri. Mammoths were large elephant-like mammals that thrived during the Ice Age, primarily in the Pleistocene epoch. Best known is the woolly mammoth, which was adapted to cold climates with thick fur, a layer of insulating fat, and long curved tusks used for defense and foraging. They lived across Europe, Asia, and North America, forming matriarchal herds similar to modern elephants. Mammoths were herbivores, feeding on grasses and shrubs, and their remains, sometimes preserved in permafrost, have provided valuable insights into Ice Age ecosystems and their close ties to early human cultures. Most mammoth species went extinct about 10,000 years ago due to climate change, habitat loss, and human hunting. Though small populations survived on Arctic islands until around 4,000 years ago. Today they remain a symbol of prehistoric life, and with advances in modern genetic research, scientists are exploring the possibility of reviving mammoth traits in modern elephants in an attempt to bring this incredible animal back from extinction. Their fossils and DNA continue to shed light on their biology and the environmental challenges they faced. Elephants are the largest living terrestrial animals. Some species of the extinct elephant genus Paleoloxodon considerably exceeded modern elephants in size, making them among the largest land mammals ever to exist. The skeleton is made up of 326 to 351 bones. The vertebrae are connected by tight joints, which limit the backbone's flexibility. African elephants have 21 pairs of ribs, while Asian elephants have 19 or 20 pairs. The skull contains sinus cavities that reduce the weight of the skull while maintaining overall strength. These cavities give the inside of the skull a honeycomb-like appearance. By contrast, the lower jaw is dense. The cranium is particularly large and provides enough room for the attachment of muscles to support the entire head. The skull is built to withstand great stress, particularly when fighting or using the tusks. The brain is surrounded by arches in the skull, which serve as protection. Because of the size of the head, the neck is relatively short to provide better support. Elephants are homeotherms and maintain their average body temperature at around 36 degrees Celsius or 97 degrees Fahrenheit. The elongated and prehensile trunk consists of both the nose and upper lip, which fuse in early fetal development. This versatile appendage contains up to 150,000 separate muscle fascicles, with no bone and very little fat. The muscles of the trunk connect to a bony opening in the skull. The nasal septum consists of small elastic muscles between the nostrils, which are divided by cartilage at the base. As a muscular hydrostat, the trunk moves through finely controlled muscle contractions, working both with and against each other. By using 3 basic movements, bending, twisting, and longitudinal stretching or retracting, The trunk has near unlimited flexibility. Objects grasped by the end of the trunk can be moved to the mouth by curving the appendage inward. The trunk can also bend at different points by creating stiffened pseudo-joints. The tip can be used in a way similar to the human hand. The African elephants have two finger-like extensions at the tip of the trunk that allow them to pluck small food. The Asian elephant has only one and relies more on wrapping around a food item. The trunk is powerful enough to lift up to 350 kilograms or 770 pounds, but it also has the precision to crack a peanut shell without breaking the seed. With its trunk, an elephant can reach items up to 7 meters or 23 feet high and is capable of digging for water in the mud or sand below. The elephant also uses its trunk to clean itself. The trunks are capable of powerful siphoning and can breathe in almost 30 times faster than a human sneeze. They suck up water, which is squirted into the mouth or over the body. When underwater, the elephant uses its trunk as a snorkel, which allows it to stay submerged for as long as it wants. The trunk also acts as a sense organ. Its sense of smell may be 4 times better than a bloodhound's nose. The infraorbital nerve, which makes the trunk sensitive to touch, is thicker than both the optic and auditory nerves. Whiskers grow all along the trunk and are particularly packed at the tip, where they contribute to its tactile sensitivity. Unlike those of many mammals, such as cats and rats, elephant whiskers do not move or whisk to sense the environment. The trunk itself must move to bring the whiskers into contact with nearby objects. An elephant's trunk is essential to its ability to survive. Damaging the trunk would almost certainly be detrimental. The tusks of an elephant are modified second incisors in the upper jaw. They replace deciduous milk teeth at 6 to 12 months of age and keep growing at about 17 centimeters or 7 inches a year. As the tusk develops, it is topped with smooth cone-shaped enamel that eventually wanes. The dentine is known as ivory and has a cross-section of intersecting lines, which is commonly called engine turning. This creates diamond-shaped patterns. Being living tissue, tusks are fairly soft and about as dense as the mineral calcite. The tusk protrudes from a socket in the skull, and most of it is external. At least 1/3 of the tusk contains the pulp, and some have nerves that stretch even further. Thus, it would be difficult to remove it without harming the animal. When removed, ivory will dry up and crack if not kept cool and wet. Tusks function in digging, debarking, marking, moving objects, and as weapons when fighting. Similar to how humans are typically right or left-handed, elephants are usually right or left-tusked. The dominant tusk is typically more worn down from use. For African elephants, tusks are present in both males and females and are around the same length in both sexes. In the Asian species, only the males have large tusks. Female Asians have very small tusks, or none at all. Tuskless males do exist and are particularly common among Sri Lankan elephants. Asian males can have tusks as long as Africans, but they are usually slimmer and lighter. The largest recorded was 302 centimeters or 9 feet 11 inches long. Because of the ivory trade's high demand for ivory, elephants with the largest tusks are hunted in the greatest numbers. This has led to an evolutionary selection pressure, or an exerted factor that has reduced reproductive success in a portion of the population, driving natural selection, causing short tusk and tusklessness to become more common. Elephant ear flaps, known as the pinnae, are 1 to 2 millimeters or 0.39 to 0.79 inches thick in the middle with a thinner tip and are supported by a thicker base. They contain numerous blood vessels called capillaries. Warm blood flows into the capillaries, releasing excess heat into the environment. This allows the elephant's ears to function similar to a car's radiator. This effect is increased by flapping the ears back and forth. Larger ear surfaces contain more capillaries, and more heat can be released. Lacking a tear duct, the elephant's eyes rely on the Hadrian gland in the orbit to keep it moist. Elephants have a durable nictitating membrane, sometimes called a third eyelid, which shields the eye, similar to reptiles and sharks. Elephants are dichromats, and they can see well in dim light, but not in bright light. An elephant's skin is generally very tough. It is about 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch thick on its back and parts of the head. Elephants are typically gray, but African elephants look brown or reddish after rolling in colored mud. Asian elephants have some patches of depigmentation, particularly on the head. Calves have brownish or reddish hair, with the head and back being particularly hairy. Although tough, an elephant's skin is very sensitive and requires mud baths to maintain moisture and protect from sunburning and insect bites. After bathing, the elephant will usually use its trunk to blow dust onto its body, which dries into a protective crust. To support the animal's weight, an elephant's limbs are positioned more vertically under the body than in most other mammals. The long bones of the limbs have dense cancellous bones. Both the front and hind limbs can support an elephant's weight, although 60% of its weight is carried by the front. The position of the limbs and leg bones allows an elephant to stand still for extended periods of time without tiring. The circular feet of an elephant have soft tissues, or cushion pads beneath the manus, which allow them to bear the animal's incredible mass. Elephants can move both forward and backward, but are incapable of trotting, jumping, or galloping. They can move on land only by walking and by ambling. Ambling uses a faster gait similar to running. The fast gait does not meet all the criteria of running, since there is no point where all the feet are off the ground at the same time. In walking, the legs act as pendulums, with the hips and shoulders moving up and down while the foot is planted on the ground, and can reach a top speed of 25 kilometers per hour or 16 miles per hour. At this speed, most other quadrupeds are well into a gallop. Spring-like kinetics could explain the difference between the motion of elephants and other animals. Elephants are very capable swimmers. They can swim for up to 6 hours while completely waterborne, moving at about 2.1 kilometers per hour or 1 mile per hour, and traversing up to 48 kilometers or 30 continuous miles. The brain of an elephant typically weighs between 4.5 and 5 kilograms, or 10 to 12 pounds. The human brain, in comparison, is only about 1.6 kilograms or 4 pounds. The elephant has the largest brain of all terrestrial mammals. While the elephant brain is larger overall, it is proportionally smaller than the human brain. The heart of an elephant weighs 12 to 21 kilograms, or 26 to 46 pounds. The elephant's heart beats around 28 beats per minute, and it actually speeds up to 35 beats when it lies down. The lungs are attached to the diaphragm, and breathing relies less on the expanding of the rib cage. Elephants breathe mostly with the trunk, but also with the mouth. They have a hindgut fermentation system, and their large and small intestines together reach 35 meters or 115 feet in length.